Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Imagine sitting alone on a quiet park bench, thinking your entire world has fallen apart, and then a small child walks up to you and says something so unexpected that it completely changes your life. Today's story is about a lonely CEO, a kind-hearted little girl, and a single dad who never expected that a simple afternoon at the park would change everything. It was a cool autumn afternoon in the middle of the city. Golden leaves slowly drifted down from tall trees, covering the walking paths of a peaceful neighborhood park. Children laughed in the distance while birds chirped softly from the branches above. But on one bench near the far corner of the park sat a man who looked completely out of place among all the happiness around him. His name was Daniel Carter, the CEO of a massive technology company worth billions of dollars. To the outside world, Daniel had everything: power, success, wealth, and respect. But in that moment, none of it mattered. His expensive suit was slightly wrinkled, his tie loosened, and his usually confident face looked tired and defeated. He stared down at his phone, reading the same message again and again. "I'm sorry, Daniel. I can't do this anymore." Those words from his fiancée had been sent only a few hours earlier. She had left him. After 5 years together, after planning their wedding, she simply walked away. Daniel had spent his entire life building companies, making deals, and solving impossible problems. But this was something he couldn't fix. He sighed deeply and leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. For the first time in years, he felt completely alone. Then something unexpected happened. A tiny voice spoke from beside him. "Excuse me, mister." Daniel looked up slowly. Standing in front of him was a little girl, maybe 6 years old. She had bright brown eyes, messy pigtails, and was holding a small pink scooter. She looked at him carefully, tilting her head like she was trying to solve a puzzle. "Are you crying?" she asked innocently. Daniel quickly wiped his eyes, embarrassed. "No, I'm fine," he said quietly. The little girl didn't look convinced. She studied his face for another moment, then climbed up onto the bench next to him like she belonged there. Daniel blinked in surprise. "Sometimes my dad cries too," she said casually. Daniel chuckled weakly. "Really?" "Yeah," she nodded. "Usually when he thinks I'm asleep." Daniel didn't know what to say. The girl swung her legs back and forth, then looked up at him again with pure curiosity. "Did someone break your heart?" Daniel stared at her, stunned. How did you know that?" She shrugged. "You have the same sad face my dad had when my mom left." Daniel felt something tighten in his chest. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then the little girl smiled softly and said something that would change everything. "Don't cry, miss. You can borrow my dad." Daniel blinked. "What?" She nodded very seriously. "My dad is really good at fixing sad people." Daniel couldn't help it. He laughed. It was the first genuine laugh he'd had all day. "Is that so?" "Yup," she said proudly. "He fixes my problems all the time." Just then, a worried voice called from across the park. "Emma." Both of them turned. A man in his early 30s jogged toward them quickly. He wore simple jeans, a gray hoodie, and carried a backpack over one shoulder. He looked relieved when he saw the girl. "Emma, I told you not to ride too far," he said gently as he reached them. "Sorry, Dad," she said, hopping off the bench. Then she pointed directly at Daniel. "But he needed help." The father looked confused. "Help?" Emma nodded seriously. "His heart is broken." The man looked at Daniel awkwardly. I'm sorry about that," he said politely. Daniel shook his head. "No, it's okay. Your daughter is very observant." Emma crossed her arms proudly. "I told him he can borrow you." The father nearly choked. "You told him what?" "You fix sad people," she explained like it was obvious. The man laughed nervously. "I'm really sorry about that." But Daniel surprised him. "Actually, she might not be wrong." The man raised an eyebrow. Daniel hesitated, then said quietly, "Today hasn't been the best day." The father nodded sympathetically. "I know that feeling." There was a brief silence. Emma suddenly grabbed her dad's hand. "See? Now you two can talk." Before either of them could respond, she hopped onto her scooter again. "I'll be over there," she shouted, riding toward the playground. The two men watched her go. Then the father sighed and sat down on the bench. "Kids," he said with a small smile. Daniel smiled too. "She's amazing. She's everything," the father replied. They sat quietly for a moment. Then the father extended his hand. "I'm Mark." "Daniel." They shook hands. "So," Mark said, leaning back slightly. "What happened?" Daniel hesitated. He wasn't used to opening up to strangers. But something about the quiet park, and the honesty of that little girl, made it easier. "My fiancé left today," he admitted. Mark winced. That's rough. Daniel nodded. We were supposed to get married in 3 months. Mark shook his head slowly. I'm sorry. Daniel stared at the ground. I spent so many years building my career. I thought I finally had everything figured out. Mark gave a knowing smile. Life has a funny way of reminding us we don't. Daniel looked at him. You sound like you've been through something similar. Mark laughed softly. My wife left when Emma was 2. Daniel's eyes widened. That must have been hard. It was, Mark said honestly. But kids have a way of keeping you going. They both looked toward the playground where Emma was now racing another child on her scooter. She's lucky to have you, Daniel said. Mark smiled. I'm the lucky one. They continued talking. Minutes turned into an hour. Daniel realized something surprising. This simple conversation with a stranger felt more genuine than most of the business meetings he'd had in years. Mark didn't care that Daniel was a billionaire CEO. To him, Daniel was just another human. Having a bad day. Eventually Emma returned, slightly out of breath. Did he stop being sad yet? She asked. Mark chuckled. We're working on it. Emma looked at Daniel thoughtfully. You should come eat dinner with us. Mark blinked. Emma. But Daniel raised his hand. Actually, that sounds nice. Mark looked surprised. Really? Daniel nodded. I haven't had dinner with real people in a while. Emma grinned like she had just solved the world's biggest problem. See? I told you borrowing my dad would help. The three of them walked out of the park together. That night they ate at a small, cozy diner down the street. Nothing fancy. Burgers, fries, and milkshakes. But Daniel couldn't remember the last time he'd enjoyed a meal this much. Emma told endless stories. Mark laughed easily. And for the first time all day, Daniel forgot about the message on his phone. Weeks passed. Daniel kept visiting the park. Sometimes he ran into Mark and Emma. Sometimes he didn't. But slowly, a strange friendship began to grow. They talked about life. About struggles. About dreams. And little by little, Daniel started to realize something. The happiest moments he'd had in years weren't in boardrooms or luxury restaurants. They were right here. On a simple park bench. With a single dad and a little girl who believed her father could fix broken hearts. One afternoon, as they sat together again, Emma suddenly asked a serious question. Daniel? Yes? Are you still sad? Daniel thought for a moment. Then he smiled. Not anymore. Emma beamed. See Dad? You fixed him. Mark laughed. I think he fixed himself. Daniel shook his head. No, you both helped more than you realize. He looked around the park, the place where everything had changed. Sometimes the most important moments in life happen when we least expect them. One small act of kindness. One simple conversation. One little girl who believed a stranger deserved help. And sometimes that's all it takes to turn a bad day into the beginning of something beautiful. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories like this. And remember, kindness can change someone's life in ways you may never fully understand.